But foiling, as in hydrofoiling, anyone can do it. Anyone that's got a board, they either do it on a kite, on a wing, on a surfboard, on a wakeboard, on a stand-up paddleboard. All of these are foiling sports. And then comes eFoiling at the end because it's self-powered.
All right, welcome to the Aussie Ambitions podcast. We've got a guest for us today. You've heard us chat a lot about this topic. We've got Vasco from eFoil GC. Hey, Vasco, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Scott?
Excellent. Look, we got you away from the water and onto land. Is that a unique thing?
It's yes and no. I spend a lot of time on the water, indeed, but I also spend a lot of time off the water, involved with the different sides of the business. But so it's good to have a break.
All right. Well, we just had a whole bunch of rain and it's really hot outside today. So look, I guess that's just a sign of the weather here on the Gold Coast. But just a little bit about yourself. If you could just give us a little bit of a primer on the company that you've created and you're building and growing, just so we can learn a little bit about eFoils and how that relates to business.
Okay. The company is called eFoil GC, as in Gold Coast. eFoils are the machines of the future. Foiling is the up-and-coming new sport, or if you want to call it new. Some of us have been doing it for a long time. But so a little bit of a background on this. I'm Portuguese by birth. I grew up in nationality. I grew up in Angola, in Africa. And then I traveled around Europe for a while and ended up in New Zealand for a short holiday on the way to Australia. It was going to be a 3-week holiday that lasted 20 years. I finally made it to Australia about 16 years ago. So lived in Sydney for about 4.5, and I've been on the Gold Coast ever since. So 2010, beginning of 2010, I came to the Goldie. Loving it.
Nice.
Because this is geographically and in terms of weather and sort of like that is as close to where I grew up in Africa. So this is as tropical as it gets and as awesome as it gets. And I'm near the ocean. No complaints whatsoever.
Like the scenery and all that. I mean, you've got some great stuff on your website and a lot of videos and that kind of. Now, obviously, that's where we picked up on what you were doing is that you had just a lot of really cool content. So you had videos, you had a viral video that blew up, and so you're pretty hands-on with technology. Are you like a video guy or a photographer by nature?
Well, yes and no. This is all kind of necessity is the mother of invention. So I had a couple of companies before when I was in New Zealand, and one of them was a 3D display technology company that sold clothing in 3D. So to do that, I had to learn video and photography, and I had a few arguments on how, with my designers at the time, on how it should look. So to do a proof of concept, I bought a camera and set up a mini studio and said, this is how it should look. And ever since, I've been hooked on visuals in terms of learning. So basically, I had to learn photography. I had to learn design. And when I started that company, I didn't even know what HTML was. I ended up coding in Cold Fusion.
Wow.
So
very technical.
You go from one end to the other. And this is kind of today I need to know something. And now we're at the age of technology where instructional videos on YouTube are everything. So you can get all the information you need. So if I need to know something, I'll go and do a tutorial. But yeah, that's where it came from. So am I au fait with technology? Relatively. I wouldn't say I'm a tech. I'm definitely not a tech. But are there terms out there that will blow my mind? Probably not. I have basic knowledge of a few things, enough to do what I need to do.
Very cool. Yeah, just to bring it back to the theme, obviously the Ambitions podcast is really a chance for people actually from overseas. Obviously it's highlighting what's going on here in Australia, but and it's likely people that are just having a fresh think about where they want to go in life and what they're working on. So it can be taking a skill and taking a just kind of pursuing that. You can turn the passion into a business, or you can just have hobbies and all sorts of stuff. But in terms of where you're at right now, like, are you? You would have had lots of different experience, but are you Are you in a phase right now where you're building a business actively, or is it more of a lifestyle?
It's actually it's a marriage between the two of them. I've got a marketing degree, and I've been a travel agent most of my life, and used that degree for it, and it gives me, sort of an overview of what is needed to do what and when. Water is my happy home. So the story about foiling is that in 2002, 2003, I saw a friend. I was coding that website that I mentioned about that company, the Brazil Clothing. I was coding at home and working like 20 hours a day, and a mate of mine wanted to get me out of that. And to get me out of that, it brought a video to my house. Says, mate, we got to do this. And on that video is a documentary. It's called Step Into Liquid, by where it has. It's like a documentary about the different ways of treating the ocean, surfing mainly, based on mainly surfing. And on that, there's some images, touches on kite surfing. He said, and that's what he brought it for. He said he wanted me to learn to kite surf, because I've got a sporting background for most of my life anyway. And on that video, that Laird Hamilton had nailed a couple of ski boots onto a board and put an air chair hydrofoil underneath it, and it was being towed into big mountains of water. And I looked at that and said to Adam, that's it. I'm going to do that. He says, what do you mean you're going to do that? He says, I'm going to do that. I'm going to kite foil on one of those things. Kite. And he says, you can't kite surf. He says, so what? He says, me a stumble. So I'll learn to kite surf so I can learn to foil. And that's exactly what happened. I went into kite surfing to learn to foil. It took me until I got to Australia that I learned to foil. And then about 2013, that I learned to kite surf. And then in 2013, I decided it was time. So I wrote away to a couple of companies and said, I want you to make me a board at this time. And they all said no, but this guy in Puerto Rico said, yeah, I'll make you anything you want. What do you want? He says, I want this. And he made me a board to spec. And that was the first kite foil on the Gold Coast. There was nobody around and kite foiling at that stage. So for the next 2 years, I had my friends paying on me from the beach, giving me hell. Oh, here comes the guy with the ironing board. Oh, how many falls are we going to see today? Because I had to learn by myself. I had nowhere to learn from. So 2 years later, about 2015, I was kite foiling. 2014, I was kite foiling already. And then the guy that designed the kite foil says, I'm going to change your world. I'm going to blow your mind. I says, what? I says, I'm going to make an electric hydrofoil. I say, you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. I'm designing one now. He says, okay, here's my money. So that's not quite the way it worked out. He didn't want it. But so I had to wait. Basically, I went on a waiting list for that. I had to wait until 2018. April 18, my custom eFoil board arrived on the Gold Coast. By far the very first eFoil board anywhere. So I was on the same shipping week as Kai Lenny and Laird Hamilton. The three of us got boards on the same week. From first production line off the production line.
Like legends, like these legends.
I can't even compare myself to those guys. There's no question about it. Neither I intend to. It's just a joke that I have. That when I met Kai Lenny here in Australia, I said, I'm so-and-so. And says, oh, you guy with the husky. Because there's some photos of me kite foiling with my, not kite foiling, eFoiling with my husky, which is named Foil, by the way. And he says, he didn't know about me, but he knew who my dog was. Anyway, and then I told him I got my board 2 days before you. And I've never let him forget it since. So it's a joke. But no, there is no comparison whatsoever. These are watermen. These are people that were professionals all their lives, and I wasn't. Anyway, so I got first eFoil, and tried to kind of engage friends on it, and I had like 40 or 50 people riding the board throughout the period of time, until one of my friends that I had taught to kite foil and to hydrofoil behind a boat said, oh man, you got to do this. You got to teach these. to people. We got to teach people on how to do this. This is going to happen. Because in the meantime, Kai Lenny had released a few videos of him hydrofoiling in big water. And the whole world went nuts about hydrofoiling. And this would have been probably 2017, something like that. 2016, 17, I would say. 10 to 17 that those first videos came out. I had been eFoiling at that stage since 2013. So I was miles ahead of most people around here. And everybody went nuts. Oh my God, this thing foiling. I said, where have you been for the last 5 years when I've been playing? Anyway, so Pyrrhus convinced me to start teaching. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I better get a company out of it. I better create this the proper way. I don't do things halfway. I don't do it or I don't do it. So I decided to create a company. I decided to call it eFoil GC because I was on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And designed the website myself, built it, put it online, and started getting calls, and obviously did the SEO and all of that sort of stuff. Had to learn about all of that technology that changes every week, and started teaching people how to hydrofoil. And this time I did it properly. It's not, hey, here's a board, go, have a go. No, I have a process. I teach people, and you know this because you've been on it with me. It's a staggered process.
Well, this is it. I appreciate you taking us all the way through this because from a consumer standpoint, you get a little taste of, there's a promo video and you just, well, can I get it? No, it's not here yet. And you sort of think, well, I guess we'll just be sitting on this because this is Australia. So you might assume that maybe it's available in Europe first or US first or somewhere. But like you said, there's sort of this multiple factors of innovation, right?
Yeah, and that there is, the man that designed the hydrofoil, the electric hydrofoils, he was the first one to design it. And I've got videos from 2014 where his first ever go on the river. I was sworn to secrecy. I couldn't say anything. But he definitely was designing this before anyone was having a go at it. And has done extensive research. He put out the best product there is. No, there's no two ways about it. And the best testament about it is my board. The very first board that I received in April 2018, I still write it every day. I still teach with it every day. All of my videos got my red board on it. It's a custom board. It was made for me. I still write it. Never had an issue, etc. So back to the company. So I started teaching people to hydrofoil. So it's not go have a ride. I don't rent my boards. I don't hire them out to whatever. I teach people to hydrofoil. And obviously, board sales are now starting to come from it because while at the beginning, when they first came out and were about 21 grand, they are now 16. So there's quite a reduction of price. I can deliver a board on the Gold Coast. I've sold several. And we're getting into more than 10. It's not 2 boards. I've sold like 14 or 15 boards, something like that. And now they are getting to be manageable in terms of costs. So people are starting to realize, because I put out also I probably have about 40 videos or 45 videos, eFoiling. I've got a lot more from kite-foiling, but eFoiling. So because I had the passion about photography, I thought I'd marry the two and get to document my progress. Okay, so what's the goal of this? The goal of this is that in 25 years, in 20 years, when I can no longer do it, I'm going to be the guy who sits on the couch and says, look at that. That's what I was to do 20 years ago. Rather than having this story to tell that was a big fish and I don't really remember what size it was and once I started to tell the grandchildren, whatever, I actually have a record. All of this has been done by me for that purpose, for a record. So these videos have started to hit the market and people are starting to show interest on it. So what is the ultimate goal of what I do? One, I love to teach people how to foil. The money that I charge, it's only to pay for the gear. My kick is when the smile comes up on the other side and I get a call 2 days later and say, oh my God, I'm still buzzing. And this thing, and how do I get it to do it again? That's the kick for me.
I just got to say, like, I'm definitely following the story and I'm just relating my experiences so far. And
yeah.
Obviously, you spoke about me getting on the water. I found what you were doing. I said, look, do you have any time to get me in for a lesson? He said, yeah, you got to wait a little while because we're busy. And I finally got out there and did it. And it was the teaching style which really struck me. So I don't know if you get that feedback as well, but the product itself is wow. But then the feeling and the experience of it, but the teaching methods of, I guess it's like unlocking all the secrets of how to have a successful, first session, second session, and how to maybe succeed faster. Is that part of it?
Well, it is part of it because I'm an ex-gymnast and volleyball player and rower and swimmer and you name it, I've done it. A whole lot of stuff, right? Motocross riding, etc. But I used to coach fitness for many years. For Les Mills, I used to coach at the gyms, and I used to teach from dance to weightlifting to a whole lot of stuff. And when you have 60 or 70 people in front of you and you only have an hour to take them through a program of exercise, you got to make sure that all your cues to them are done at the right time, that they are done factual. You don't wobble about things. You release the right details. Otherwise, they may injure themselves or they don't achieve. They don't get out of the class and come back. The points come back. The point's not getting the money at the time. It's points get someone to come back and eventually take that themselves. I have people that I eFoil with on a daily basis now. They're friends of mine, and they keep coming back for it, and they are totally, and that's my kick, that now I have someone to eFoil with. For years, I was the only foiler, the only kite foiler. I was definitely the only eFoiler around. But I kite foil on my own for 4 years because no one thought that foils were for waves, which I never thought that I would go flat water. So, yeah, getting back to the teaching. Yes, one of the major feedbacks that I get is that I'm a good teacher. You're such a good teacher and all that sort of stuff. I kind of shrug that off because it's not about the compliment. It's the size of the smile for me. It has always been, When I used to teach fitness for Les Mills, sitting, being on stage with a microphone in my hand, wearing lycra or whatever shorts, we did wear lycra in those days. No, I didn't wear G-strings. They were lycra. It was all good. But in seeing someone coming into the class for the first time, and they come with baggy clothing and kind of they're shy, and they go to the back of the class, trying not to be seen, but they want to be part of this, but they don't want to be seen, okay? And then 3 months later, they're in the middle of the class. 6 months, 3 months after that, they're right on the front line in front of you going, Yahoo! And I'm moving and all that. That is the kick. That is the change that you just effected on someone's life. It took their decision to do it. So it's not me that changed somebody's life. I was just a little part of the process. But that's what gives me my kick. Having met you and having had a chat with you before and all that, and at the end of the class that you were basically jumping off, getting in the car and you smile, you couldn't wipe that smile off your face. That is my kick. The money just pays for the gear because every time I teach, I put 40 grand of equipment on the water. So everything else is the kick. Classes are not going to be what's going to make me. Classes are probably what makes the company famous because you get to experience that. Lately, it seems to be that the flavor of the month is the vouchers that I've got on my website. I thought that I would make some vouchers and people could buy them for their kids, their partners and all that. It's happening on a daily basis. People go online, on my website, there's a facility where you can just request the voucher. They make the payment into their account. I make a voucher in 5 minutes. They get it. They get 6 months to use it. 2 weeks later, I get a call saying, "Can I book it?" Yeah, let's go. And that seems to be the flavor of the month. And that's fantastic. What is my goal? My goal is sell boards. My goal is getting people to understand, to start feeling that eFoiling is not that far out of reach. But because this learning curve is so steep, you can't just, buy an eFoil, go out and have a go. It's not like that. It is special if you haven't done motorsports, if you haven't done water. It's difficult. And you went through the process. So yeah, I do get a kick out of teaching.
This is cool. This might be a good time for us to introduce some visuals to this because people have heard the term eFoil.
Yeah.
And you could probably describe it for us in terms of the components and how it's essentially different from maybe a surfboard and so on. But Is that something you can show us? Or is there something maybe on your website, and then we'll just make sure?
If you go online to my website and you go to Foiling School, and the first link down. So first of all, let's just go to my website and load it in here, and it's got a little video right at the beginning that goes through. Obviously, I took the sound out of it, so we wouldn't have. But it goes through what the different options, what the classes are, etc., etc. But when you go to Foiling School, the second link is something that says eFoil. What is it?
Right.
And it has a whole explanation on it. So it's basically a board that has a set of electronics on the inside, and that you put it's like a surfboard, slightly thicker than that. That you put a 48-volt battery in it, that you stop and change when you need to and charge it at home. And that battery produces a current that goes through some wires through the mast that goes down to the bottom, where it has a little motor attached to the mast. Very tiny, it's small, it's like a forearm, that small. And it has a propeller on it, and below that it has a hydrofoil. Front wing, fuselage, and a back wing. So that you have a remote control in your hand, which operates by Bluetooth, that links to an antenna on the nose of the board. And you can literally ride it like either a motorcycle or a car. It's an accelerator. So you press the trigger, and the more you press, the faster you go. And you can take your power off and grade your power as you need to. Now, they started as simple water machines, flat water machines that that you can take to anywhere. For example, there's a little video of us playing around. This probably not this one. Playing around on the canals of the Gold Coast. So they started as flat water machines, and now they are wave machines, which is what we try to do with them. Okay, if you want a little visual at the Gold Coast, this will be in front of Surfers Paradise. It's a different way of traveling on the water. Treating the water. It is not like a jet ski, because a jet ski literally has to cut the water in this place, and there's turbulence and there's wash and all that sort of stuff. Hydrofoils work under the surface, so there's no disturbance. As you can see, the majority of the time in that, you can't see anything underneath me except a little wing. So you ride on that. The power produces enough lift and thrust to make that wing go through the water, and that creates a force that lifts the board off the water, but you combat and balance with your weight to drive the board.
Okay, so a lot of people would be seeing this, and it's quite an impressive visual. So is it, do people, in terms of people learning this for the first time, is it people that are experienced surfers, or maybe water skiers or wakeboarders? Is there a certain pedigree of people that they can pick this up quickly?
Okay. Nope.
No. Huh?
And I'm very, very proud of that fact. Very proud of the fact that I've had all extremes of how do I say? I've had all extremes, different types of people on it. I've taught from 75-year-olds to 12-year-olds. Actually, 76 to 12. He's turned 76 now. I've taught people that have no board experience whatsoever. My current partner, she had no water skiing, no stand-up paddling, definitely no surfing, nothing. And within the hour, I got her hooked on it. I got a foiler in within the hour. She's not as young, neither am I. But age is not a question. If you have a bad knee, probably will take you a little harder to get up, but you do get up. If you have no mobility issues, that much faster. Is it easier for some people than others? Maybe. Okay. If you are a snowboarder, snowboarders trump surfers, believe it or not. Snowboarders, because they have a control on a certain position on the board, it's easier for them to pick it up than surfers. Surfers obviously pick it up. It's going from your stomach to your feet. That is the major incumbents of foiling. That transition is the worst part. Once you're on your feet, foiling is not that much of a problem. Once you get to your feet, I get you foiling in 5 minutes. Normally it does. Some people will take longer, other people don't. But like with everything else, if you can think of what learning skills you need and how difficult it is one way versus the other, think about you riding a bicycle for the very first time. The very first time, you're left and you're right and you're wiggly and you don't know what to do with the steering wheel and you're all over the place. Within 2 weeks, you're riding that bike with one hand. Within 3 weeks, you're riding that bike with no hands at all, because you learn to balance. As humans and as animals, we are the most adaptable creatures on this earth. So we can adapt to anything. Can I teach anybody? Absolutely. Give it the right board, give it the right conditions, and I teach on flat water exactly for that, to make it a little easier. I can teach just about anybody, yes.
Yeah, that's neat. I mean, it was so cool. I can't wait to obviously try it again and see how I was going to say it's a sport and how it evolves and how the people buying their own boards and then, what they can do with them, right? I think you said you had a student that had a bit of, it sounds like they just went for it. Like they were doing not tricks, but they were up right away and they were just turning at a more advanced rate.
Yes, it's if you already are a very good surfer and you take surfing to the point of instinctive, you don't have to think about what you're doing. You just surf. If you pop on the board, if you are that good a surfer that you no longer have to think about what you're going to do, you just do, then yes, you're going to get it faster. And when you get on the board, it's just transposing the skills you already have, your balancing skills, onto a new project, onto a new sport. And yes, you can do that a little faster, but it's not a preclusive to it. You don't need to have all of that to be able to eFoil. I can get anyone, from mothers to grandmothers to anyone.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be so neat to see how this evolves. And obviously, I feel like the whole topic for this program essentially is about pioneering, and you're having to face all of those. It's not even early adopter. It's like you said, you're the only one on the beach with the gear, and people either look at you with the wow and they're impressed, or they're like, this is strange and unusual, and we don't really appreciate what's going on here. So is there maybe just going back into those early stages, was it more positive or more like suspect at that time?
Okay. Being a foreigner, okay, I've got a point of comparison. When you're from a foreign land and you arrive at a country and you speak the language a little bit, the first thing people do is go, oh, it's so interesting. Oh, look at you. You got an accent. Yes, but you can form phrases more or less. And then afterwards, they sort of lose interest until they get to know you a little while longer, and then they see you as a real person. With this sport is exactly been the same thing. Right at the beginning, they go, oh, that looks interesting. Yeah, but it's not for me, really, because it just looks too hard. And then they either get to try it, I get to take them out, or they see me long enough in pushing in waves and doing different things and go, oh, maybe I've done a lot of bit of surfing. Can I do that? Yeah, you can. Come over. I'll show you. And I get people on the board, and then the whole opinion changes. And also, it has been a public perception to it, because it has been as a relatively expensive product at the start. It was new, as you say. It's the new early adopters. It was new. It required a projection of mind. What can I do with this in the future, rather than having a go? Having a go is something that you hire a stand-up paddle and you have a go, because you've got very little skills that you need. And once you learn to stand up on the board, you can give it away and then come back 2 weeks later and you found it. This requires a commitment. It requires the fact that you decided, I'm going to do this. And I'm talking about foiling, not necessarily eFoiling. eFoiling requires a much greater financial investment. But foiling, as in hydrofoiling, anyone can do it. Anyone that's got a board, they either do it on a kite, on a wing, on a surfboard, on a wakeboard, on a stand-up paddleboard. All of these are foiling sports. And then comes eFoiling at the end because it's self-powered. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries. My right shoulder has had rotator cuff. My left shoulder has been rotator cuff twice. Maybe I'll need to go again, which means that surfing is not really something I should be looking at because I go up paddling for half an hour and I'm out of action for 2 weeks. No point.
Right.
Kite surfing was not a problem because it doesn't require shoulders to work, and it's just a steering thing. You're hooked up to a harness, so you're not really under the power of it. Once you learn the basic skills, you find. So eFoiling is fantastic because I now get to be on the same waves the surfers are, not in the middle of them because I respect that, and I go out to the shoulder because the surfers need to paddle. I get 20 times more waves than anybody on any given morning. I'll go out, get 40, 50 waves while they hit 3 and 4. Right. So if anyone drops on me, I get out of the way. I'm respected. I'm respectful as far as that is concerned. But it does require a little bit more of a personal commitment investment to it. Going back to the beginning where this train of thought started as anyone can foil and can hydrofoil. eFoiling is the best way to learn because you don't need a boat. You don't have to contend with a boat's wake. You don't need to know how to paddle and get up on a board. You don't need any of those skills. You literally have a motor in your hand. And all you have to do is learn how to stand up on the board. And that's where I come in. Once you learn to stand up on the board, you can eFoil, like 3 seconds away.
Very cool. Yeah, I was actually curious about that, how much, I guess, utility you might get out of it versus, like you said, on you look at the waves, it's a good day, so you get out there and this time of day and everything else. And then there'd be kiteboarding, and there's like the wind. You got to get good wind days, I guess.
Yeah.
But can you adapt to more or less any condition? Like you can get out on a rain or shine type thing?
Yes. I've got videos on my video gallery that will show you me out in 6-foot waves. That will show you me out on a day that was hailing like you wouldn't believe. We went out to Hens Dam and it was a great afternoon. Within half an hour it was raining and then it was hailing. And I've got this amazing video done to Vivaldi's 4 Seasons of hail. I've got dents on my board from that day. That's how bad it was. Ooh. So you can do that. Yes, I've been out at the same time the kite surfers are out, 25 knots. And they go, are you nuts? Yeah, and I was out there and I was enjoying it. So you can go on a glassy day. You can literally, you can face just about any conditions. One of the concerns that usually comes to me is, oh, this is such an expensive machine. Can it take the pounding? And I go onto my website, have a look at Cotton Beach, the video called Cotton Beach. I'm being done by a 6-foot wave and coming in the falls and going after the board. And I get out on the other side, I press the trigger and I'm out of there. That's the advantage of an eFoil as well, is that when you get done, you can get out. You just hop on the board and you get out of the way and get out before the next wave. I just had a weekend out in North Stratty. I was out at PP Beach and the other place. And the waves were big. And I was having the time of my life because there was a frequency about 8 seconds or so. So I had time to get out of the way, ride the wave when it was glassy. It was fantastic. It was overcast and there was no wind and the surfers weren't having a great time. And I was out on the shoulder, catching wave up the wave, up the wave. And then when I come back to the beach, then the surfers come and talk to me and go, man, how can you get so many waves? I says, well, I got a motor. So yes, conditions for eFoiling, just about anything you want. Obviously, if it's a 10-foot, 12-foot swell, unless you are Paco or Fanning or Slater, you probably don't want to put one of these machines in there, because it's 30 kilos coming at you if you fall the wrong place. But then again, you get in your car every day and there's 1,000 other cars on the street. So you manage, you learn to manage the danger level if there is one. And they say, oh, no, you must get cut all the time because it's a hydrofoil and all that. And I go, actually, no, I don't. I no longer get injured. I did get a few cuts in the beginning when I didn't know where to put my feet when I fell over the board. But if you think about it, a surfboard has got 3 to 4 fins on it. They are just as sharp as my hydrofoils. They're no different, no better. Oh, the surfboards are lighter. Yes, absolutely. Are there as many injuries in foiling as there were in surfing? Hell no. There's nothing like it. And people say, oh, I've seen a couple of injuries. I says, yes. Have you looked for surfing injuries? Surfing is a sport that everybody does. Everybody gets cut sooner or later. So I'm not saying it is risk-free. Nothing is risk-free in this life. So it's a way to manage it in how you put your perspective into it.
Sure.
So if if you're going to get injured, be careful about it.
Yeah. No, you're on the waves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. Yeah. But it's not a deterrent. Not for me, at least.
But flat water riding is quite, I mean, it's fantastic. Right. It's just that, it's that, I don't know, it feels like an unlimited kind of, like you said, you're fatigue. There's a period of conditioning where your muscles, you have to maintain your balance. And I definitely experienced that. You've got to have, to be able to maintain control, you've got to have balance and just the fine tuning. But with the motor, the battery would go for a whole day?
2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours. You can get 2 hours. I don't run out of battery down to the bottom because it's very, very seldom that we'll go out on one session and be out for 2 hours. Very seldom. Oh. I've got a couple of batteries, obviously, spare, that I can go out if the day is that good to be out there. And you can't get away from those waves because they are that clean. The season's coming now. As the wind dies and it changes to a southeast and gets clean seas, that will be the time to be out there because it would be awesome. Mm-hmm. But no, usually your muscles run out.
Yeah.
Because of the micro adjustment of being on top of the board and your muscles constantly in flexion because you can't have locked knees or something like that. So you're obviously working all the time. Your shins will burn, your calves will burn, your quads will burn, your glutes will burn. And people say, oh, you're just standing on the board. There's nothing to it. It's not like that, let me tell you. So as you experienced, it does require a certain level of fitness. But with the advances of these machines now, you can change your wings. My machine's got an option of about 20 different wings I can choose from. So I can choose a wing for every condition. I can choose wings for flat water riding, which will give me full 2 hours on flat water. Or I can go and choose a wing for slightly faster and more maneuverable riding to go out to the ocean and ride the wave without motor and still get 2 hours out of it. So, with the latest advances in folding prop technology, eFoils, the brand that I ride, the best brand there is on that. They have a patent, and Nicholas, the inventor and CEO of the company, we're been friends for 8 years. He invented and patented the folding prop, which is based on a sailing yacht prop that does exactly the same thing. It has a motor on it, but when is not under power, it just folds, and then you get to ride the foil because it's got less drag than if it had a fixed prop on it, that those blades would be always breaking you on the water. So when they fold, reduces the drag by a quotient of about 80% of the normal drag. So you only have to contend with the 20% extra drag from a normal foil, which is literally the size of the fuse of the motor. That's it. So yes, putting a wing that is specifically designed for it, you can ride a wave for 600, 700 meters without having to touch the motor. I've just released a video 3 days ago where I actually show how it's done, when to take off the power, what speed you need, how to put it back on. So you get onto a wave, switch off the power, ride the wave on the foil, and have the biggest smile in the universe on your face, and get to the end of the wave and push the trigger back on, and you go back and go get another one. So there was, when eFoils came out, that was never in people's minds, but there was the goal. The goal was, can I go to a wave and then ride it on a foil? Because at that stage, when the eFoils came out, I was already riding 6 to 8 foot waves in Indonesia on a kite foil, using the kite to propel me to the wave and then just ride the wave down. I was the only one. 2015, I took my kite foil to Indonesia, and they all thought I was from Mars. They had never seen anything, not even the surfers that were there. No one had seen anything like it. And I was getting onto the wave that everybody was surfing, and I was getting onto that on my kite foil. Now I've got a photo of some monster behind me. which I actually enlarged and put in the lounge of my house because it's just like amazing. So that took hydrofoils to waves. But now getting this folding prop takes eFoils to waves, which is not, that was never part of the picture. It is now. And, I've had a folding prop. I had the very first folding prop that was designed that Nick built. He made 2 or 3, sent me one straight away because we always in contact with the latest developments. This is Nick being Nicholas Leeson, the founder of Lift Foils and the engineer and the designer, the inventor of the electric hydrofoil. People can say that other people invented it, but now, go to history, check your details and your dates, and he did do it a long time. Anyway, he sent me a folding prop over 1.5 years ago, and I've been writing it ever since. And now a little bit of interest is being shown, and my videos are on the company's websites, on LiftFoil's website, as being the Australia component and the only people that are riding waves. And they go, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that. I said, well, that was always the goal. So I guess this is where we are at the moment.
Look, I mean, it's just interesting to hear you talk through all this. It sounds like it's certainly more than a recreation. It's like I'd say like lifestyle, and it's almost like this frontier of technology where it's all coming together and you can experience it firsthand, right?
Yeah.
So you're on there, in a week? You're out there 1 or 2 days a week?
I'm out there up to 4 days a week. I don't go out. Usually a question that I ask, I say, are you here every day? And I go, no, I only come by appointment. You have to go online or you have to contact me and book a session, then I'll come in, because to do that, I've got minimum 2 eFoils, 3 to 4 batteries to use. So all of that stuff has got to charge. It's got to be loaded in the car. It's got different wings. I teach using, as you experienced, I teach using a helmet and a microphone. So I'm in constant feedback with the student. So I talk to the student, the student talks back to me. I only teach one-on-one because for me, the learning curve is so steep that it is important. It's paramount that you get it right. So I'll be on the water demonstrating one-on-one how it's done, when it's done. After we've done a ground component, even before they get on top of the board, on the ground, I already showed this is how you get on the board. And you remember this from your lesson. How to move your knees, how to rotate, where does your hip go, the whole thing. That's before you even get on the water. And then once you get on the water, you just get to apply all of those skills on the board and get onto it. But I use the microphones for that. So that's a preclude for that. The part that we haven't we haven't got to that yet, which is major about all of this, is that there's an E at the beginning of foil. What does that E stand for? That's for eco, because it's electrical power. There's no emissions. There's no petrol. There's no waste left on the water. There's nothing. And there's also no maintenance, literally no maintenance. So you charge a battery, put it on, get on the water, and then take it out of the water, do a little wash with fresh water, which I do as part of the maintenance, and you're ready to go again. It is that simple. There are no 500-mile service, change the oil on the motor, the noise that goes with it, the smell of the petrol, there's none of that. There's no wake, there's no noise, there's no waste. So that is major for me, because the impact on the planet that we put on the planet. Okay, I'll take a hit when people say, what does it take to build a battery? Okay, we get that. But now we have electrical cars. We have electrical scooters. We have electrical bikes. We have electrical everything. So it only made sense that we made a machine that was ecologically sound. And this is. So that's another big advantage of this. I have batteries that they are 3 years old. They still haven't got to 100 cycles. 100 cycles is the minimum that they warranted for, and some of the batteries are just lasting forever. So the technology is very, very sound. There's no, as I said, there's no breaks on it. That's a part that was important to me. My impact, my footprint, it was very important to me, because I get to marry all of that. I have a permanent smile on my face. I'm sorry. I do. I'm loving it.
That's, like you answered a couple of questions I had coming, but really it was around the purists in the board sport area, where, it's sort of, maybe more of a cultural thing around what's this new device. You can see Sea-Doos and jet skis and things zipping around on the waves, and I think they have regulations on where you can't go, and everyone's trying to get along, but certainly the water is a very natural environment. You got ocean life, you got dolphins coming and going, all this kind of stuff, but then at the same time, this is sort of accessing new frontiers, so you don't have to you're not in the same space necessarily as all these things, and you can choose your time and place. But on the energy efficient side of things, like, is that something that you'd thought about prior in your life, or you're seeing what's happening as the world evolves, and you're making that a central?
I've always been planet conscious in my participation on this planet, and let's not get metaphysical in here because we could be talking for hours about this. But I grew up in Africa where hunting was a part of life. We did do that. But ever since I was young, I take an approach that I can't do no harm. That is the biggest motto of my being. Do no harm. Doesn't matter what to, where to, that sort of thing. So the better we can do about it, the easier it is. So being ecologically sound and not. And they, there's a couple of big myths that are sort of about eFoiling, about foiling, that need to be addressed. As in, oh my God, you're going to end up killing the marine life, and you hit everything in sight and all that. Guys, I've been writing for 3 years. I have never hit a marine creature, ever. There's no way that's going to happen. So no, there is no threat to marine life. I've never hit any other person for that matter either. So am I extremely careful? Yeah, go watch my videos, perhaps not. But I am around other people. I'm very conscious of all of that. So in answer to your question, yes, I am very mindful of my impact in the planet and what I'm doing here. So being ecologically sound is important to me. Obviously it is. The other side of it is that we were talking about waves just before. The purists, the surfers go, but that's not surfing. And I always had the point of saying, I'm sorry, but it is surfing. I'm on a wave. Oh, yeah, but you're not using the wave, which is where we are now. Folding prop, get to the wave, switch it off, ride the wave. I am using the wave. There is no two ways about it. So is it surfing? It doesn't have to be defined in the same exact part of surfing. Well, it is surfing because you are surfing the wave. Can you do those big splashes and throw buckets and no, you can't do that because your fin, your craft is under the surface. So there is not this big splash of water going everywhere. But I can tell you right now that it's twice as hard to turn an eFoil in the same arc that a surfer does and not spray anything because you can't get the foil out of the water, but you can do the same turn. Can you do the same top turn and bottom turn? Absolutely you can. It's all a matter of level and it's all a matter of progression. A couple of years ago, just on that, a couple of years ago, people were never thinking about foils and waves. Today, we've got the new guys, the kids, they're half my age, doing double somersaults on them. They go to the wave on a non-powered eFoil, on a non-powered foil. They go to the wave, they flip and do twice before they hit the water. Was this even imagined 2 years ago? It wasn't, but it is now. So we keep evolving, and this is an evolution of the use of the ocean. Is it surfing? Yeah, to me it is.
Right, and then there's here we're lucky we've got lots of coastline and beaches and beaches.
Australia's perfect,
right? So
Australia's perfect. It's the best playground in the world. That's why I'm here. I came from the other side of the world because of it.
And you're here, but you're contributing actively to the innovation. Like that's the interesting piece.
Yeah.
Because obviously people can look and say a destination, it's just lifestyle, it's chill, it's but to see people actually pushing the envelope and evolving it. It's not going to happen. There's no big corporation that's driving this, right? Is it more grassroots?
No. What do you mean, eFoil GC?
Well, just the whole movement.
There's only the three of us. Yeah. Me, myself, and I. We have arguments about the three of us all the time, but that's us.
But it becomes this community, right? Then you all of the smiles that you've generated, right?
Yes.
And then from there.
I was joking about how many people are involved in eFoil GC, and I do have friends, but it's been my effort, it's been my thing to get it. But I do want to get it out to the people. And it was the same thing with foiling all the time. It was always, I don't want to foil alone. I don't want to do this alone. Why would I want to do this alone? What a waste, And yes, so taking this to people and getting the awareness out of it and being able to, as I have been recognized by eFoils, to spread the word out and make people understand what it is actually possible, to make them want to do it. And because I do it because I love it, it comes across. I don't have... you can hear in my voice, I'm not pretending anything in here. This is reality. I love it.
And everything's visible. Like you're capturing the moment on, like you mentioned video earlier, and how it's a storytelling thing. And I think obviously that's what we're doing here is just creating these opportunities for people to follow the journey and
to get involved because everybody will get a different opinion on how it should be. And there is no such thing as this is the right way. No, because every person will see it differently. That's how innovation comes in. Everybody will think of it in a different way. So there are a million other applications and ways to use a foil, a hydrofoil in an eFoil that we haven't even thought about it,
I was just curious about that. You had the clip of yourself and the dog that you...
we had the dog rescue.
Rescue.
That one was totally... non-planned, it just happened.
But it's a single-person vehicle at the moment, right?
Yes, it is. Even though I can ride, I've got several clips and photographs of me riding with somebody else on the same board. We can ride two, and I can maintain the board off the water and all that. So it is possible, yes. The board you rode, I can get two people on it, no problem. Okay. It's just a balancing act. So it's very, very possible. But also I just lost my train of thought because I was going to go somewhere with this.
That's all right. I was just...
the dog.
Different uses.
Yeah, the different uses. A while ago, the first time that I was on Sunrise with Kochi and Sam was because from a chat with a friend of mine that owns al fresco restaurant on the Gold Coast, Italian restaurant. When we couldn't do anything, there was nothing that anyone could do because COVID was in. He couldn't do deliveries. He couldn't do anything like that because he just couldn't go around. And we had a chat. Said, why don't we deliver a few pizzas by eFoil? So we got a clip. We filmed the clip like in half an hour, literally in half an hour, him and I delivering pizzas on the Gold Coast. To the point where someone saw that and then got Channel 7 to come and interview us. And we did a clip for Channel 7, interviewed by Sam and Kochi live on air. Delivering some pizzas to people that were out on the street. And that went kind of nationwide, went semi-viral because, their sense of humor says, oh, we got this guy doing this anniversary. It's online. It's on Channel 7 line. And so that was the first time. And then the second time was the dog rescue, where I then decided to do a voiceover on a clip that I took by chance. I had been filming a friend of mine because he wanted some photos for his lounge. And I had been filming him out on the waves. They were like 5-foot waves. And as I was coming back to shore, saw an overturned kayak. And as I'm going to go on the way to try to see what was going on with the overturned kayak, I see a dog on the water. And the dog is disoriented and going out swimming towards the waves. And I went, what? And this is like 50, 60 meters offshore. And the dog was so disoriented that he was actually swimming to the waves. So I turned around, got the dog on my back, and then went towards the kayak because I had gone to the kayak first, but the owner was already being helped by a couple of surfers. And so I went out and rescued the dog and let the dog climb on my back. And then the surf lifesaver came in on the jet ski and took the dog away. But I didn't realize at the time that my camera was on. So when I got home and I thought I had switched it off when I came off the waves. And I noticed that the clip was there. And I thought, why was this guy on the kayak? And obviously, I've made clear that I'm not criticizing the guy of the kayak. That was not my intent. I wasn't here to antagonize anyone or to beat somebody up. The man lost half of his stuff that was on the kayak, and he almost lost his dog, and he wasn't very happy with it, with himself. So there's no way I'm going to pay on him. That's the point. But what I did was I saw the clip, went home and said, well, this is funny. This is actually funny. So I decided to put a voiceover, make a little video clip, put a voiceover and said, hey guys, make sure that when you go out on the ocean, that you pay attention to conditions. If it's a 4-foot wave, don't take a kayak out there, because kayaks don't even have a keel, nothing like that. They'll turn within, half a foot of wave will turn a kayak around. And certainly do not take your dog, And suddenly that went on the web and went viral. I went literally viral. I got a company from the US called Storyful ringing me and saying, can we have the rights to this? And I said, I don't give the rights to anybody, but you can publicize it. And suddenly it just went out of control. So I was on Yahoo, I was on MSN, I was on every news story and channel on TV across the world. I got calls from all across the world saying, baby, is this you? So, yeah. Oh my God. And then I got television, a program in Japan ringing me and doing interviews over Skype. Some Zoom interviews from Perth, the radio stations all over the place. And I said, guys, I need to make sure that this message does not get across wrong. This is not about criticizing the guy in the kayak. This is about warning whoever goes out to pay attention to conditions. I'm not here to put anyone else down. The guy has had enough trouble. Anyway, so yeah, it did go viral and woke up people to the powered surfboard. And I go, no, it's not a powered surfboard. It's an eFoil.
Oh, that's so tricky with like mainstream media. They would have just get in this direction, and you would don't miss the, you try to contain the message, but
yeah, well, the surfer on the Gold Coast that rescued a dog on his powered surfboard, and I went, anyway. Do you know what?
It's a half step.
It did do its job. People paid attention and said, oh my God, there's actually boards out there with motors that can do something else. Because obviously in the video, they don't see me hydrofoiling. They only see me moving through the water to try to rescue a dog. I wasn't hydrofoiling. I was moving the board through the water like a powered surfboard. So it was interesting. But it has been, as you mentioned, it has been an interesting trip, as in making people aware of what is possible. Usually, and you'll notice this from the website, I get to see things miles ahead, and possibly through a personal attitude. Difficulties and stumbles to me are only things that need to be solved. They're not deterrents. If something is mathematically possible, you just find a way to do it, and you do it. So getting people to realize and get their own take on that and say, oh, I'd like to do this with it. Like I can tow a hydrofoiler into waves on my eFoil. I do this all the time. It's a short little rope. Foiler gets up, I get up, and we go out and I drop him on the wave. So it's even possible to do that. So who thought a few years ago that this was even a possibility? Nobody did, because it wasn't in the landscape. It wasn't in the landscape of hydrofoiling for sure.
That's neat.
It is now.
That's pretty interesting because, towing into waves is also one of those things that's seems more commonplace.
Yeah.
And then there's...
yeah. But you tow with the jet ski and then the jet ski gets out of the way. The jet ski can't ride it. Yeah. But the thing is with this, both of you can ride the same wave.
Right.
You tow him in, drop him in, and you drop him with him. And now especially... you can turn off your power and you ride the same thing as the other hydrofoiler. So the two are giving high fives on the wave and said, hang loose, brother. Absolutely. I think it's changing. It is changing the landscape. And I'm happy to have been and still be a part of it.
That's really neat. Yeah, look, I mean, the insights and everything from the technical stuff to the personal flair, you've got a style to it. Like, I'm just curious about you, where you are in life now. Do you feel like you've built a bit of a, I call it a leadership position within this space? Or do you feel like you're just sort of like, more just one of the people doing it? Like, yeah.
Well, I feel that I was responsible for raising the awareness of it. Do I have a leadership position on it? Only through attrition, through media they are created. I've got 50,000 photographs that I've taken everywhere, all over the place. I've got 45 videos on eFoiling alone, all floating around the internet because people want to know. They want to know what's possible. I get emails and calls, but mostly emails and comments on YouTube every day from overseas, from other riders that now suddenly are thinking, this is real. Okay, this guy's doing it. I better ask him what he thinks about it. So I get this all the time, yeah. But am I going to be the poster boy for this? No, I better not. Because we need someone that's half my age, that has got a profile, that is already responsible for their own achievements in a different sport, that comes in and says, this is cool. And I know that through influencers, through media and all that sort of stuff, the word goes out a lot faster. Do I want to be that person? No, I don't want to be that person. But I do want to be involved in the industry. And for that, I just launched a shop. Okay, so my website now has got an e-store. And the e-store sells hydrofoils, sells the boards, sells the foils themselves, the classic foils that you run without the motor, sells the mast, sells the wings, sells all the batteries, just hydrofoiling equipment. And it's still my passion, still what I want to do. But why not? If these people, everybody needs to buy gear somewhere, and I have access to the gear through, it still is the best gear in the world. There's no question. There's 2 or 3 top brands of hydrofoils out there, and Liftfoils is out of the very top of it in terms of manufacturer, in terms of the fact they always come out with innovations first before anybody else. There's marketing, and then there's reality. And, my gear doesn't break. So that's why I'm so happy about being involved, because I know I've got the gear. And I hear my friends going to me and say, oh man, how do I fix this? And how do I fix it? When do yours break? I said, mine don't break. And I hit things at full speed, and then I hit the ground, the sand all the time. And you mean you don't have? Nah, have a look. I got a couple of scratches, that's it. So I do have very good gear. So making that available through a website that is in Australia. Obviously, the gear comes from the States, where it's made in Puerto Rico. But that is here, that someone can ring and talk to me at any time of the day or night. And believe me, they do. 11 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call that someone didn't realize where it was, what sort of time zone I am in. But that people can talk to me and do this and make the gear available to them. Why not? And this is, again, my crew, my foiling crew, my friends that know that I've been involved in this so long, have been pushing me to do it. And for me, it's always been a matter of what is fun should not be passed on to business, because then having a marketing degree tells you that once you start getting involved in figures, in pricing and all that sort of stuff, half of the fun goes out the door. And I do not want my eFoiling fund to get out the door. I definitely do not, because I have a lot more fun going out there and doing a video, because it's a whole new avenue. The planning the shot, the getting the shot, the doing the editing, the learning Premiere Pro so I can edit, learning Photoshop so I can clear cut some images and then do that. For me is the kick, the learning process, the actually knowledge. Throw it at me. I used to say to people, you want to see me happy, teach me something.
Nice.
Because it does. It gives me a kick. So, yeah. So I just launched this store, which is live on the website, but nobody knows about it, because tomorrow is my birthday, and tomorrow I'm going to launch it. Happy birthday to me tomorrow. So I will let people know that the store is open for business, and that they can get the gear there. They can get the hydrofoils, the complete eFoils, all of the gear that goes with it. and some classic foils as well. So I guess you asked, where am I going with that? I guess that is the next stage, building a business that doesn't require me sitting at a desk 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night every day. I'm out, my office is the ocean, and the rest of the time will be my car, it will be my desk, it will be wherever I create, because creating is a very real and integrant part of my life, I guess. So I guess that's where I am.
Geez, you answered the question. You circled back and pretty much closed it up for us. But I mean, it's so interesting to hear the perspective that you got around I guess it's yourself as a person and what you want to be achieving, and then it's just this community that can follow along. So like you said, at some point you've made your mark, and other people will be taking it further for their own, for their own pleasure, for their own whatever they want to do. But
also to the levels of skill. I don't pretend to be the most skilled rider there is. I'm only a good rider at the moment compared to most, because I've had it longer than anybody else, because I decided to go and pay my dues way before anyone else thought about it. But you got guys that are 25, 30 years old and, grew up surfing, which I didn't. I didn't grow up surfing. So I came into surfing through kite surfing. I learned to kite surf before I learned to surf. And I still only kite surf in a wave. I don't go out there and paddle because, it's not my time to do this. But all of these people have got twice as much skill as I do. No doubt about it. Neither I am in competition with anyone. I'm in competition with another person, which is me. I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. I want to be better today than I was yesterday. These are my own limitations. I hate the fact of that if I feel fear, I don't want to do something. So if I feel afraid of something, that is exactly the thing I'm going to do first. When I was young, I was afraid of heights, really afraid of heights. Like seriously, I couldn't get to a building. And today I still have a little bit of apprehension, get to the edge of the door. If it's glass, if it is a glass wall, get to the edge and look down. I'd just scare the shit out of me. So I just got a group of friends together in Auckland, 20 friends, and threw myself off a plane. I organized a group to go parachuting, and I went, how much more extreme can I go? And I had a ball, an absolute ball. I hung onto the strut on the plane with the biggest smile on my face. They say, okay, let go. I said, no, I'm having fun. I was hanging onto the strut, and I was flying with this lighter plane on a static line, obviously. As soon as I dropped the plane, it would open the parachute. And I knew that was going to happen through training. But I was having a ball. I was looking down, and fields were like tiny little things, and it was up there in the middle of the clouds. And that was the thing I was most afraid of. And in the end, the one I enjoyed the most. And I eventually let go and came down on my own. And, I had a microphone and my helmet, and all of the instruction was done in Auckland, perfectly well done. And I had a ball. And everybody says, so when we go again? And I go, we don't need to. What do you mean? I've done it. I don't intend to do this for a living or anything like that. I wanted to do this. My next step would be jumpsuit. My next step would be base jumping. And I don't want to go that far. That's not in my realm.
Yeah, nice. Look, I mean, a lot of this chat is really can translate so well to people just thinking about their own, where they're headed. And exactly, that's one of those things that translates. It's like there's that getting up to the edge of the cliff and where we go from here. We know it's safe. We know we can go off it, but are we actually going to go and experience that? And it's that, it's not for everyone. I do feel like people have a hard time pushing for it, but the reward at the end is at least you've learned something, you've experienced something. It's just living that life and not shying away from.
I guess the this cliches left, right, and center. There's no point in using cliches, but the things that we regret is the things we haven't done. Okay, so do I have the best lifestyle I could have had? I'm a reasonably clever kind of guy. I could have made a much better lifestyle and position in life for myself, but I've had some amazing experiences in my life. Would I choose to swap those for a security. No, not in a million years, because I got one shot at this, and we all do. Okay, and no criticism to anyone whatsoever. Each person is an individual. Their brain is wired different. We all think different, etc. But for me, if I have the chance of doing something, I am going to try and do it just to simply experience, because the more information I have, the more information I have. The more things I experience, the more I know about it. It is that simple. Knowledge occupies no space. I always believe this. So I'm still smiling here, Scott. I got this big grin on my face. There's nothing wrong with it.
Just going for it. Yeah. Look, I mean, that's what we're going to do. We'll take some inspiration from that. And I hope all of our listeners, got to learn a lot about the product and, the style and just the whole movement, I really feel. And so happy to have you back anytime.
And to whoever, I gotta have my own plug, right? So whoever wants to try something new and learn a little bit about foiling in general.
That's right.
Because what I teach is about hydrofoiling. It's not just about eFoiling. Mm-hmm. eFoiling is just a method. Yeah. So hydrofoiling is an experience and is a new sport that is definitely on the rise, and it will be from now on. There's no two ways about it. I've been on it long enough to know the progression scale and where we're going with this. There's a lot of things we don't even know that are going to be happening. So this is a good time to do it, because you're at the beginning. You can still get me. You can still get me in a few weeks. You might not be able to get a booking for whatever, because I might not have the time. Do I want to expand and get other teachers and get a whole lot of things? I don't know that eFoiling is the thing for that. Surfing, maybe. There will be other people taking their mantle and taking people out on the waves. I will teach an advanced class, and I've been asked, do I teach an advanced class? Can I take people to waves? I say, yeah, if you're a good, really, really good surfer and you've had 4 or 5 lessons, and I know that you are at a point where you can foil, then I will take you on a wave. Second lesson, third lesson, there is no way I would do that. Out of respect for safety. Safety is paramount to me, always. So going back to not straying from the thing. Go onto eFoilGC.com. Go onto the store, see what's available. More and more information is coming up. I'm patching videos in all the time. Want to see the size of a smile? Just go to my Instagram account. Everybody's got this huge smile on their face, and it's not prompted. It's just I'm there with a camera at the right time. It's a good thing.
And you do these neat, I think, do you call them hero?
Oh, the hero moments.
Fit that in, because I think that's kind of neat to capture. You've gone an extra mile with that.
Yeah, because not only people like to see their photo, it is good for others to see how did they get to this. And I go, and I usually have this, on my video gallery, there's a second section, which is the students gallery, that has hero moments. And these are people that have never eFoiled. None of them has ever eFoiled before. I wouldn't do a hero moment to someone that has already been done it before. And it's like a 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum, whatever. It has a progression on how you got from 0 to actually foiling and having a long eFoil where the board doesn't touch the water and everybody on the beach goes, Yahoo, oh my God, look at that, whatever. So that's why I call them the hero moments, because at that stage, everybody feels like a hero.
It's good. It's quality to watch, and it's amazing, actually. Consistently, people do go through those steps, like you said. You're helping people get there, and then a lot of people would be, we'll try it, and if we don't get there, but it's the helping people overcome. You can do it. Focus on this is the next progression of the technique, and then you go, and it's quite transformative. I just found that personally was a really special experience. So I'll just say my personal thanks on that front. But
man, I can't wait to have you out there again, because we're going to push you. I want to push you further than just, oh my God, I had to go. I actually, you got our common friend, John Ayler, that went in and had a lesson once and just keeps coming back. And he just can't have enough of it, because it is that achievement thing. And is being able to control something. Think about being 7 years old and being on a bicycle for the first time and actually going and being able to go down the road and not hit the pavement. It's that enjoyment that is a once-off, and that you can get that on eFoiling.
Yeah, beautiful. Look, I think we've covered it. We certainly welcome you back anytime. I'd love to get out, and we want to do some on-location stuff, so we'll keep an eye out for where you are. Limited time that you have, but yeah, and I can absolutely imagine people snapping these eFoils up, and hopefully it's not a long wait time. Just to throw it out there, is there a lead time for something like that?
I can get a board down here in 7 days.
Jeez. Okay. And, and I compare back to, it was a couple of years ago where I saw it and they weren't anywhere near ready to order or import or get them. Yeah. Now they're here. And of course,
obviously we have COVID and sometimes 7 turns into 10, but 7, they come through FedEx. Yeah. FedEx takes 5 days from their door. So it takes a certain amount of money, a time for the money to get there, and then for the board to ship. So I have been able to get a board in 7 days.
So certainly get the experience, get the lesson, get the training, get the gear. Getting the gear and the training, I mean, you'd be all set for, one for the family, right? Hopefully.
Well, that's usually the way it goes. Believe it or not, that is actually the way it goes. I end up selling a board to a family member, and then he says, "Oh, what about if I get my kids to do this, or if I get my dad to do this, and whatever?" So we end up choosing a board that is sort of more or less suitable for everyone. That will cover different family members at their own stage. Yeah, you can write it on your knees. Of course you can. You don't want to stand up and all that sort of stuff. So it is possible. But as you said, 7-10 days, we can get a board in here. But pushing people into buying a board is not something I do.
100%.
Because it is a certain amount of investment. Do I get everyone to want to try a lesson? Oh, hell yes. Absolutely. Because that's the way in. That once you realize what is actually possible. And it doesn't matter, I can stay here and tell you blue in the face what is possible until you actually experience yourself. So that's why. Go onto the website, get a voucher, buy your sweet loved one a Christmas present, like I had lots, a birthday present, an anniversary present, whatever, and get them on the water. And your significant one, wife, partner, daughter, son, mother, cousin, family member, whatever, is going to love it. And then you guys sit around and discuss who's going to get the board, where you're going to store it, who's going to carry it. Because I get this. I had families coming in and go, we have to go and have a meeting there. And they go around the corner and they decide literally who's going to hold the board. And this is true. This happened to me. They did the logistics. And then came back and said, we want one, that color, that size, whatever. And we know who's going to store it. Can you deliver it here? The whole thing. So it's a process. All of that is a massive journey. And it's awesome because it's possible now. That is the difference.
It's awesome. Yep. It's finally here and happening. So you heard it from Vasco. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Scott. Absolute pleasure. Loved having a chat and loved how we both explored the different ways of it without making this sound like a sales pitch. I hate it. But it's good. Thank you.
No, look, milestones, right? You got there. There's things happening. And happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thank you. That'll be tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be, 32 again? Yeah, right.
All right. Cheers to that. Well, we'll
Cheers,
get you a nice drink. Cheers.
Thank you.
Have a good one.